welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show, where today we're talking about Wednesday Season 2. We are brought to you, as always, by the Progressive Christian Alliance, a movement and denomination that rallies around the principles of justice, respect, inclusion, the Christian left, a nationwide ministry and community for Christian progressives and allies, and of course, the Center for Progressive Christianity, which has been leading the movement on the progressive Christian front for over 3 decades now. I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mark Sandlin. How you doing today, Mark?
I am doing just fine. How about yourself, Caleb?
I'm doing great, and I can't wait to talk about Wednesday. But if you haven't seen Season 2 of Wednesday, we do need to let you know that we will spoil Season 2 of Wednesday for you. And so if you want to watch it before you listen to the podcast, go ahead and pause this and go and watch it, binge all 8 episodes, and then come right back to the Moonshine Jesus Show, because you'll want to talk about theology and politics.
Absolutely.
Mark, before we do that,
we
need some adult beverages.
Indeed.
You got one?
I do. I took a bourbon cocktail called a Haunted Graveyard and put a twist on it. And I'm going to call this the Nevermore Bourbon.
Okay.
And it is bourbon, honey syrup, little lemon juice, some black walnut bitters. And then they have you put a sprig of rosemary and light it up. So you get a little aromatic with it, a little smokiness, a little spooky kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
So the Nevermore Bourbon. How about you? What'd you end up going with?
I've got a drink that I'm calling the Bloody Skull, and it is 2 ounces of whiskey, some sweet vermouth, and maybe I was a little more generous than 2 ounces of whiskey here, and some red food coloring to make sure that my skull is nice and red,
nice and red.
bloody.
I like it.
Yeah, but I thought we've got a lot of skulls this season. It's Wednesday, but we also had the zombie where we had the skull slowly animated back to life. That really spoke to me, and I like to drink bourbon. So
yeah, me too.
Let's get into our bourbon, Mark. Cheers.
Exactly. Cheers.
Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Welcome to our Geek Out segment. We're going to geek out a little bit, let our geek flags fly, have some fun talking about the show and our kind of geeky side of curiosity about it. We won't stay here too long, though. We're going to move on pretty quickly so we can get in our theology and political perspectives that we kind of derived from what we were watching on the thing. But for those who may not know, as Caleb said, we're covering Wednesday Season 2. And as we enter Season 2, Nevermore Academy is back in session. And Wednesday Addams returns a reluctant celebrity after the chaos of her last year. But fame doesn't sit well with her, especially as a new stalker, a stream of creepy visions, and an even darker family mystery close in on her. Pugsley's experiments literally bring the dead back to life. Enid her roommate wrestles with the cost of her transformation, and the Addams family secrets start crawling out of the crypt. By the finale, Wednesday's facing a prophecy that says she has to die. And she's heading off with her Uncle Fester to uncover who wrote her fate down. So,
oh man, Mark, that was a lot of spoilers.
Well, we gave warning.
In the summary, we got a spoiler. It's a good thing we warned people.
Quite a few. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious. So Season 2 sort of leans more heavily into the horror side of things. I'm curious what you thought of that. Did you think that was a good move, or did we lose some of Season 1's comic charm? What was your overall feeling on that?
I think maybe it was a both and
Okay.
that I liked the horror. I thought this is a great way to start off October, the horror Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I did notice like that it wasn't quite as fun. Some of
Yeah.
it wasn't quite as fun. I
Yeah.
mean, there was I think an attempt at a viral TikTok dance
There
creation,
was. Yeah.
but
To the Lady Gaga song.
but it wasn't quite the same as the first
Yeah.
season in terms of that and
Yeah.
in terms of Wednesday, like exploring what it meant to be at the academy and stuff. It was really kind of leaning into the horror as she explored some of this other stuff, and I think less on school dynamics. It was kind of on the periphery. It felt to me, and that
Yeah.
was something that I really kind of liked in the first season. But that's not to say that it was a weak season or anything like that. I thought it was still fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I still thought we learned a lot about Wednesday, and we got to learn more about the Addams family in general. And I thought that was kind of fun. So,
Yeah.
so I still thought it was a strong season, but I did think there was a tonal shift. How about you?
I'm completely with you. It was a good season, but it did have a very different feel from season one. And I did definitely miss the comic charm of season one that kind of kept you like halfway smiling on and off through every episode. There were moments, they weren't quite the same. I would have liked to have had, I think they leaned too far into the horror, which is still, like you said, made for a good season anyway, but it wasn't the joy that the first season brought, that I was really wanting some more of that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from here on in and what choices they make. So Pugsley, yes or no? Yes or no?
I'm kind of mixed about Pugsley. We got to see a lot more of him this season because a whole lot because he was barely in the first season. He goes to school. Yeah. I thought it was interesting to see some of the gifts that he had, like the electricity and stuff, and we get to learn more about how Gomez had that. But did he add a lot? I think I'm on the mix, leaning towards no for him, Pugsley.
Yeah.
How about you?
It's a hard no for me. It's a hard no for me. Yeah. I mean, I think it. I'm sure. I don't know the actor who plays him. I'm sure he's a fine actor. I felt like he never found the character.
Yeah.
And so every time he was on the screen, it kind of pulled me out of anything that was going on. I didn't buy it. I didn't really love the character. I didn't have a strong feeling about the character. I didn't love the character. I didn't hate the character. Just was kind of there. And I would have liked to have had something that got me more kind of, worked up or engaged in some interesting.
Yeah.
I guess, it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So, new headmaster Barry Dort, yes or no?
Well, I want to know how many syllables into Buscemi it took you before you realized he was going to be the bad guy this season.
I think it was obvious instantly when they cast him. You're like, okay, I know what's going on now.
Right. I mean, I think that's kind of the thing, is that that was a pretty big broadcast. It's like in Law and Order, where you see who's the guest star this week. That's who did it.
Who died. That's who either did it or is going to die. One of the other.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it was pretty clear. And this was, I think maybe like this and the other things. I actually find Steve Buscemi entertaining, so I kind of like having him on the cast. So I think I'm a yes for him. But all of this too makes me wonder if, like, I think Tim Burton is a double-edged sword, right? Yes. And it's like if you get just the right amount of Tim Burton, it's magic.
Yes.
But if you get too much Tim Burton, it like falls apart.
That's fair.
in some of it, I think about like Batman and Batman Returns.
Right.
Right. It's like Batman's a big commercial success. Let Tim Burton run free. And then it's people don't know what to do with it. And so I'm wondering if some of this season is Tim Burton going amok. But I think for Steve Buscemi, I'm a yes. How about you?
I'm definitely a yes. I really, really liked him in this
Yeah.
show. I liked what he brings to the character. And he just has that the look, it's almost perfect for the headmaster of Nevermore.
Who's secretly a cult leader?
Who's secretly a cult leader. He started his own cult.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fantastic casting.
Yeah.
He relishes the role. It's very obvious. Even scenes when he's sort of in the background, he is so invested in this character and this role.
Yeah.
It just made me so very, very happy seeing him do that. and he does look like Edgar Allan Poe, which at Nevermore, I mean, it's kind of perfect. It is kind of perfect. So I really like it. So Grandmama, yes or no?
Grandmama, she's got an interesting relationship with Wednesday, and I do think I appreciated learning more about the family as a whole. But and she's it kind of helps guide Wednesday without kind of any emotion. I think I'm leaning more towards no on Grandmama.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that she really made me feel like there was a lot added by her character. So I think Grandmama, I'm more of a no for her. How about you? Did you like her?
Yeah, I'm a no. I like Grandmama on paper.
Yeah.
I like what she brings to this season, the mirroring of mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
And I really like how that was written and played. This was another case where I just felt like the casting maybe wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
It just, I never, I kind of didn't want to see her. You know what I mean? I kind of was like, oh, she's back. All right. Well, probably not more than 3 or 4 minutes here.
Yeah, that's another thing we're doing this season. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm definitely more on the no side for I liked the writing, the idea of what she was supposed to be for the story arc. I really liked that a lot. Just don't think it was executed as well as I would have liked to have seen. Yeah, it's starting to sound like I did not like this. I really liked this season. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed every episode. The one episode that I was like, man, that was kind of a all right. Well, the one thing here's the thing. There are critics though that are pointing out that there were too many subplots and tonal shifts and leaps that felt underexplored, or maybe some that were overexplored. What did you think in terms of those layers and the different pieces that came in? Because it was certainly a more complex season in terms of the number of plot lines and everything.
I think that what I liked about the season was the same stuff that I liked about the first season. I liked Wednesday's darkness. I liked the moments that you could see her joy come through. I think Jenna Ortega does such a wonderful job of playing that character.
Yeah.
And gets the character so well that I didn't love Grandmama, but I loved that when she came on the screen and did what Wednesday wanted, we saw the smile come on Wednesday. So she just plays that so well. I liked exploring. I liked Eden. I liked exploring Eden and seeing more about her. I liked the stuff in the asylum and the history with the back history of the school. I think though the rest of it I agree with the critics on that. I enjoyed learning more about the students last year, learning more about who they were as people. We did get that with the Siren character, but not many more, and that was kind of the fun piece. And so I could have used more of that, I think. But I'm mixed. I think I really like the season, but I do see where they're coming from on those pieces.
I think so too. I think so too. I think they tried to do far too much, and we didn't get some of this as much of some of the pieces that I felt like would have made it a stronger season. For instance, the trio of the three girls.
Yeah.
I really think they are so great together individually. They're each incredible actors. And seeing them interact with each other, they do it so beautifully, and it feels so real and natural, like they have been living together for months at the school and kind of thing. I felt like there was just so much more time that we needed to spend with them and see that relationship, see it grow. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to have seen less of the boys, of Pugsley and his buddy. I liked learning a little bit of the background of the school, a little bit of the background of the Adams.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was a little too much. I don't need that much to help me move forward. I feel like they did a lot of setup this season so that season 3, because they announced season 3 before all of season 2 was even over.
Yeah.
I feel like season 2 might have part of what we're looking at, I think, may have been the setup for season 3. They knew they were going to have a season 3. I think the school's backstory and the Addams family backstory, I think it's going to end up being very important in season 3. And I don't like that they sacrificed part of season 2 to get there.
I think that's fair. I also thought, like, after watching the 8 episodes, one thing that we didn't really have is any like seasonal markers for each of the episodes to know like where we were at in the school year. And I didn't really make the connection until the last episode that this had taken place over a year. I'm like, oh wait, the school year's over. I'm like, did we just watch a school year? Because all the events felt like it felt like it was just a few days or something, right? It didn't,
or at least half a semester or something.
It didn't feel like it was the whole year. And so that was another thing, like maybe like some time markers, something that was around seasons or events at the school, I think might have helped me.
I completely agree. I think they should have. Yeah, that would have helped a whole lot for sure. So the showrunners have floated the idea that they're exploring a spinoff. Yeah. It's rumored to maybe be an Uncle Fester spinoff.
Right.
Here's my question to you. If you were putting one together, which Adams or side character deserves their own show? And what would that show, what would be the theme of the show? What would it be like?
I really just want to see more of Wednesday and Eden. and so I would rather see them on their adventures. I mean, maybe it could be fun to see Wednesday and Fester. But I got to tell you, I'm not sure I want a spinoff with a side character. I'm not sure for me that's something that I necessarily want.
Let me pitch this to you.
I'll hear the pitch. Okay. All right.
How about a spinoff with Thing, right? Okay. And the title would be Thing Hand Solo, okay? So the Thing Hand Solo. It's a
did they have to get rights from Disney?
No, because that's just we're mocking it. So it's
okay. Okay.
And how about do something fully unexpected?
Yeah.
He jots off to Europe, and that he has the disembodied hand. Ends up solving crimes across Europe, and at the end of every episode, it finishes with him flipping off the person who did it. I don't know. It might work.
Pitch approved. Green light that sucker. Go ahead, throw a few $1,000,000 at that. Let's get a pilot. I like it.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Han Solo Adventures in Europe, right?
Adventures in Europe. All right. Enough silliness.
I'm there for it. You've sold me.
I like it. All right, good. Well, enough silliness now. Let's take a quick break, have a little more of our bourbon drinks, and we'll come back on the other side and get a little more serious as we talk about theology and politics.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. Today we're talking about Wednesday, and we're moving into our theopolitico segment. And Mark, this is obviously centered around Nevermore, this academy for outcasts, and I think that's something that speaks to a lot of people.
Mhm.
I'm curious, Mark, can the outcast narrative speak to the church's role in society? Primarily, is the church a place for those who are marginalized, or is it more often complicit with power
Mhm.
structures and furthers marginalization?
Yeah. And, and unfortunately, it is supposed to be a place for outcasts. If you take seriously the text that we claim that we follow, the teachings in particular of Jesus, he was all the time spending time with those that the rest of the world might have called outcasts, folks that power structures and empire have marginalized for sure. Uh, Unfortunately, we do see over and over again the church being complicit throughout history of, rather than bringing those folks in, casting them out and pushing them further into the margins. We have a lot to account for, and a lot that we need to be open and honest about our role in creating these marginalized groups of folks, and then saying, okay, it's time. We're going to collectively be better about this. We're going to bring the folks that you might call outsiders into the church and put them in places of leadership, and so they can help guide us in who we are, who we're supposed to be, and how do we continue to move towards connecting with outsiders and helping heal all the harm that we have done. So yeah, it's a sad, unfortunate situation, and far too many churches seem to not really care what role they play in hurting and marginalizing folks. And it's heartbreaking, right?
It's extremely heartbreaking. How can the religion of a man who spent his whole ministry standing on behalf of those who are marginalized become this tool of the principalities and the powers that goes to further marginalize people? And so I think what you're saying about ensuring that people who are marginalized have places of leadership is so important. And I think it's so important that churches really lean into creating a space for people who are marginalized by the rest of society, especially I think as our government is really ramping up persecution,
Mm,
that
great point.
churches, if they live faithfully, can be a safe haven, a place where people can come and be who they really are,
Mm,
and can together join to act as resistance. And so, a lot of people bemoan the state of the church, Mark, about church declining and all.
yep.
And I get that, but like the church as a tool for the privileged, I think that church can go ahead and die, because that's
Yeah,
not being helpful to anybody. But if through this death we experience some kind of a resurrection of a more authentic church,
exactly.
one that is actually doing what church is supposed to do, well, I would rather see a ton of 10 people churches that are living out like that than than
Absolutely.
a few mega churches that are not living authentically. So
Yeah, I'd happily pull the life support plug on the churches that are just continue to support people who already have power and are already
yeah,
in positions that they just earned because of who they were, and not because of
yeah,
not because of how they act and how they treat other people.
yeah.
Let's pull those plugs. I'll be first in line.
Yes, I love that.
Let
Okay,
let them go.
and hey, I love that the metaphor of pulling the plug, letting them die. Like this is perfect for Wednesday,
Yeah,
for this season. Talking about the
indeed.
zombies and all.
Mm,
So, Mark, one thing that we find is supernatural gifts in Wednesday. Like throughout the season, she's dealing with her psychic ability to see
mhm.
things in the future.
Yeah.
How do those supernatural gifts compare to spiritual gifts in religious tradition? And one of the things that she struggles with is how often to use that, and and when it should be restrained. So do you have any advice on how to embrace the gifts that you have and when those ought to be restrained?
Um, I'll go ahead and just do the second part of that question. I think I get a little uncomfortable when we compare gifts of the Spirit with supernatural gifts because we get in this sort of magical thinking of what Christianity and what Jesus and all of that is. And I'm very anti that. We've done enough harm in the world trying to make it about that kind of stuff. But just talking about the gifts that we have and when we should use them, when we should show constraint, I think it's pretty straightforward. Here I go back to oversimplifying everything. When your gifts can help someone, use them to help someone.
Yeah.
If using them is going to hurt someone, don't freaking do it. I mean, I don't think it's a lot more complicated than that, frankly. I just don't.
I love that. I think it's weird when people think. I mean, first of all, I don't come from a tradition that talks about like gifts of the Spirit or anything like that. Like that's not a part of my tradition. And so a lot of times when people talk about stuff like that, it's foreign to me that there's a notion of like these certain gifts being from the Spirit being from God and all. Like no, just some people are better at some things than other people are. But yeah, I think also like realizing how it is that we can use what we're good at for the betterment of society and the enrichment of others, and how to do that in a way that also uplifts other people.
Absolutely.
And I think whenever I think about, especially in church, but I think this is true in all areas of life, like recognizing what you're good at and what you're not good at, and how it is that you can work with people who have gifts other than yours and be willing to admit that like maybe you're not good at everything, that's a pretty significant realization. And that like being able to say, hey, look, I'm not good at this and so is.
Why don't we?
Let's lift up them. They can do that. They're really good at that. And so whenever I think about like the talents that people have, that's one of the things that I always try to think about is like, okay, let's look at what people's talents are and give thanks that they have those. Okay, so another thing that we find is a lot of exploration of family dynamics in season 2 of Wednesday. So I'm curious, what does the show suggest about the relationship between children and parents, younger and older generations, in like ethical growth, especially when there's generational trauma that is involved?
Well, I mean, obviously, the very first thing it shows us over and over again, and maybe focuses too much on, and I think that, and when I say focuses too much on, lives in this thing and doesn't venture much past it, which I think probably has a lot to do with Burton did a lot of the writing and probably has a lot to do with his own personal past and stuff. But it definitely shows us that parent-child relationships, particularly with generational trauma, is a very complicated thing, and it's very tricky ground. I think he just lives in that a little too much, and just lets the tension of that just kind of wind up and stay there. We have moments where we begin to see breakthroughs where parents are trusting children, and we see growth happening through that kind of thing. So I liked those. I think they were a little too small. And who knows, maybe season 3, maybe it goes back to season 2's a setup for season 3. Those little breakthroughs were just meant to kind of give us a little tip of the hat of what might be about to happen, and we might see big breakthroughs. I certainly hope that's where we end up, because too frequently the tension and the trauma of it is allowed to just sit there and let us all feel uncomfortable in it, which is important to recognize and acknowledge those. But we need to learn how to grow past. And I think in this show, one of the main ways is showing both parents trusting children and children learning to trust parents. What are your thoughts on that, though?
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and certainly we spend a whole lot of this season talking about generational trauma,
Yeah.
from the grandmother to the mother, and even father to the children, and it's a lot. And I agree that
Yeah.
it
We
doesn't
even get
really
it in
get
side
resolved.
characters. I mean,
Yes,
we have the side characters all seem to have these unusual relationship with parents that aren't as healthy as they could be, for sure.
right, right, absolutely. And so I, yeah, I agree that I wish there had been some more resolution. But I think that like one of the things that I think hope is that, as parents can say, hey, look, I made such and such mistakes and I know I'm not perfect, and
Yeah.
here's what I did, and I hope you can make better decisions around these things than I made, and supporting children when they both do well and when they
When
make
they're
mistakes.
struggling. Yeah.
And I think that's something we see this show struggle with, but not come to any resolution
I
on.
agree. They've got a lot of growth to do in that area if they want to
Yeah.
move this to a place where it is helpful and not actually pessimistic of all we can
Yeah,
do is just live in the tension and the difficulty of it. We can't do more than that. That
yeah.
I hope we don't leave it all there.
I hope not either. But I will say that Burton doesn't
It
tend to
is
be the
part of
best
his
at.
MO. Yeah.
Yeah. One more question, Mark.
Yeah.
How does Wednesday view institutional authority, and does it offer a model of faithful dissent?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, she does not trust institutional leadership and authority, and she has had lots of reasons to not trust it.
Mhm.
And frankly, when we look at the church history, all of us have had lots of reasons within the church to not trust church authority. Church authority has caused some
Yeah.
of the worst. Us trusting too fully in church authority has brought some of the worst things that humankind has ever had to endure. So I think her willingness to question and not to become a pawn when she stands up on that stage as they're trying to make a hero of her, and she says something like, "Don't put me on a pedestal because I'll burn the pedestal down."
Yep.
Uh, I think that kind of approach is sort of important to come in
Yeah.
with a questioning spirit and
Yeah.
to be willing to not fold when someone's saying something that you just know feels like it's off or hurtful or damaging. We don't have enough of heretics in the church, and I'd like to see a lot more.
That's memeable. I love that. I don't see enough heretics in the church, and I'd like to see a lot more. I love
Absolutely.
that. Mark Sandlin. Hashtag Mark Sandlin. Yeah.
There you go.
I
What
love
are
that.
your thoughts on it, though? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't. I mean, I think everything you said is right, and I mean, I would love to see religious leaders say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna mess up. Don't put me on this pedestal
yep.
because you're going to be disappointed." And I
Mhm.
actually when I began my ministry with my current congregation, I actually said exactly that. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, if you think that I'm going to be able to fulfill all your expectations, you're going to be disappointed because I
Mhm.
guarantee you I'm not going to. I
Right.
am who I am, and I've got things I'm good at, things I'm not good at.
Mhm.
And if you think I'm going to be good at everything, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
If you think I'm going to be this perfect leader, you're going to be disappointed. And I feel like we need that not just in churches. I feel like we need that in politics too.
Yeah.
And I think also the stance of Wednesday that like you're not going to trust an institutional authority unless they have shown you they have earned some trust.
Earn the
I
trust.
think
Yeah.
maybe we could use a little bit of that as we're thinking about
Right.
how our current systems are in place, and that maybe they're not actually in place for our benefit and don't actually have what's best for us at heart. So I've got other questions I'd like to ask you, Mark, but if I do, we won't get to our favorite segment, the Make Me Look
Yes.
Stupid segment.
Yes.
So why don't we take a break, take a drink, and come back and try to make each other look stupid?
Welcome back. You're joining us for the Make Me Look Stupid segment, where we proceed to try to make our co-host either look stupid, to say something stupid, to make a stupid prediction, or just prove that we ourselves are stupid and need a little help. So I'm going to start off. My question is very, very easy.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because we leave the end of this season with Enid in wolf form, and Wednesday off trying to find her to help because she promised her she would. I'm curious. What do you think is Enid's fate? Is this an unreversible thing? I mean, what's going on with her right now?
I think they'll be able to reverse it because the show really doesn't work as well without Eden. And so I think the beginning of the next season is going to be one where we've seen Wednesday and Fester traveling around throughout the summer.
Right.
That lasted 3 years or something like that. I guess that's another thing about the season, right? Is we waited a long time for this season.
We did.
Mark,
and right now, the prediction is we're going to have to wait almost 2 years for the next one. That we're not expecting it until 2027.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time. And you also get to like the longer these people are in their 20s, like the less believable they are as high school students.
Well, they will be filming it. Supposedly, they might start filming in November, but because of how heavily this season leaned into CGI and that kind of thing, and the fact that they're not just going to be set in the school, they're probably going to do a lot of traveling. So there's a lot of, breaking set and building set and new places that they're saying it might be 2027 till we see this. So
not surprising.
But you think it ultimately is reversible?
Yes, I think. Yeah. Long story short, I think Wednesday Fester are going to search for her. Beginning of the next season, we'll see the new school year, and they'll be almost caught up to her. And they'll the first episode or two, I think they'll probably try to get her back. They'll come up with some kind of a thing, but it'll be like temporary or something. I think it'll add some drama, and then I think ultimately she's going to be able to control, and she'll be like the alphaist alpha fox that there are werewolf that there's been, and she'll lean into both aspects of her identity. That's what I think is going to happen. How about you?
I think it's reversible. I think it's reversible right now. I can't remember who said it, but one of the characters at some point this season said directly to her, and it felt like a line a little out of place until this last episode to me. One of the characters said directly to her, she didn't say you were an alpha. She said you might be an alpha.
Yeah.
I think maybe she's not an alpha. And that this transformation is partly just in her head because she thinks it's happening. Yeah. And that there's a certain thing that she has to do that will cause her to transform back. And that she has this ability to transform without the moon, which most people don't. Only alphas tend to. I think that maybe she's an exception where she is very special, but not an alpha. And that she, just by her own will, can stay a werewolf or go back if she wants to. I think she's not even tried yet because she didn't think it was possible.
I like that. And, it was striking me the more you were talking about this, that all you asked me was if she could transform back. And I could have just said, yes. And I wouldn't have had to give a whole future season synopsis that I will likely get wrong.
I appreciate that you ventured there anyway.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you. I do what I can.
Yes, indeed.
The
entertainment of the masses.
Well, yes, of course. I just want to make sure one of us looks stupid. And I'm happy to fall on that.
Oh,
sword.
Fantastic.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Mark. So, and this is just a fun question. Because I did really enjoy this season. I did think it was fun. I enjoyed watching it.
All of its like rough edges, it was still a great season.
Right. And so, did you have a favorite episode?
Yes, the switch.
Yes.
And if someone would have pitched the episodes to me without watching them, I would have groaned when someone told me that we're going to do a body switch.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, oh God, y'all, this has been done too many times. It's a cliche at this point.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
They were so good.
It was good. Yeah.
Those two actresses, they were exception. I just, man, I thought it was incredible. I like the story. We got a little more humor in this one.
Yep.
Which felt more like season one. Like for me, definitely, hands down, favorite episode. How about you?
Yes, same. The Switch. That's why I wanted to ask, because I thought the last 3 episodes were the strongest of the season.
Definitely.
I really enjoyed those, and it was around the Switch that I realized what I was missing from this season.
Yeah.
And I also thought just the way they set it up with Wednesday wearing colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is the
That
Wednesday you
intro
didn't know
was
you
like, what's
needed.
going on?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, what is she doing? And so I thought that was an example of some good storytelling. It drew you
Absolutely.
in. It was unexpected, and it was funny. And so,
Yeah.
both of these actresses have said that they're actually more introverted by nature, and both actually relate more to Wednesday than to Enid. And
Yeah.
so it was kind of fun to see that switch and to see them lean into that. And it reminded me, they're both good, but it also reminded me how versatile Jenna Ortega actually is. And
Oh,
she's
yeah.
kind of pigeonholed as like Gen X or Gen Z's scream queen.
Right.
Like she's in all these horror.
She's always
things.
a dark character. There's always
Right.
some underwriting, mysterious something.
That's right. Even she's in Beetlejuice. She's been in Scream and all these other things. But a lot of people were introduced to her on Stuck in the Middle or In the Middle or whatever it is, and on Disney Channel, where it was
Right.
this fun, lighthearted thing, and then Yes Day, and she's got great comic timing.
She really does.
And so I think showcasing some of that could be great too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. The Switch standout episode.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we've already announced last week what we'll be doing next week, but why don't you go ahead and tell folks what we are going to look at this week leading into our next show and what we'll be talking about on the show.
I am super excited about next week, Mark. We're going to be talking about Peacemaker season 2, and man, has this been a good season.
It really has been. It's been fantastic. Surprises, lots of cool storytelling.
Yeah.
It's just been great. And it is going to provide so much for us to talk about.
Absolutely.
Every episode was setting something up that would be perfect for this show to address and think about. So yeah, I think it's going to make for a great, not only was it a great season, it's going to make for a great episode of the Moonshine Jesus show. There's no doubt about it.
It absolutely will. And the last episode drops this Thursday.
Yeah.
I think so. So
and it's over an hour long.
Okay.
Since we've already given the spoiler alert warning, there's even rumors that Blue Beetle might show up in this one.
I saw that.
So
yes.
I think we're in for a really fantastic 1 hour finale for this show. It's just everything about it sounds great. James Gunn dropped his playlist for the last episode today, so you can go out and see what songs are going to be in it. And he's got.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's been really fun too for him to drop the playlist
this year.
and stuff.
Yeah, and this year he's really doing a lot of songs that I'm just not familiar with, but are pretty great. I mean, he knows his music.
Pretty
no doubt
great.
about it.
He knows his stuff. I've also heard, Mark, that at some point GI Robot from Creature Commandos
might
is supposed
show up
to be here.
And
so and so wouldn't that be cool, in the Nazi world, to see GI Robot?
That would be the
punching
best.
Some Nazis.
If he have a disembodied voice behind Peacemaker at some point say, "You want to go kill some Nazis with me?" And everybody go, "Oh, I know that voice. I know that voice.
That's him. Yes."
That would be incredible.
So man, I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Me too. Well, we have had too much fun this episode as well. We thank you all for tuning in and listening. It is because of you that we get to do this. And it turns out that this is our favorite part of every week. It's just so much fun. So thank you. We appreciate you so much. And we will see you the next time on the Moonshine Jesus Show.
Moonshine Jesus.